You're listening to Footscray Live.
Welcome everybody, broadcasting live from Whitten Oval. You're listening to Footscray Live. My name is Archie G, and here on the panel we have Sean, Piper, Archie M, and Gronya. Today we have a very special guest, Lauren from the Snuff Puppets. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. It's great to be here.
Yeah. Tell us about the Snuff Puppets and how did they start?
Totally. Snuff Puppets is a bit of a Footscray institution. We've been around for 27 years.
Yeah.
I know, right? So I was but a twinkle in my mother's eye when our founder, Andy Freer, went, you know what would be great? Puppets that snuff. And it started out sort of with a bunch of different people coming together and deciding that they wanted to see some weird, large art around, and after they did that, they formed a little company called Snuff Puppets. We were based just down on the Maribyrnong River for a little while, and then we moved into the drill hall, which we now share with the Women's Circus.
How long have you been in the Snuff Puppets?
I've been in Snuff Puppets for 2 years,
Oh, yeah?
so I am but a little baby that knows nothing.
Yeah.
But in my time, I've seen quite a lot of stuff, actually.
Yeah.
So, it's a very small company in terms of the fact there's only a few of us that run this sort of giant, big program full of big puppets. And
Yeah.
I say, to people, I work at Snuff Puppets. It's a giant puppet company, and they go, so the puppets are giant, or the actual the amount of people that they're a giant.
Yeah.
So, it just goes to show like a small amount of people can do really, really big things. Yeah.
I'm Archie M.
Hey, Archie M. How you doing, man?
Good, you?
good? Yeah, feeling good. Yeah. No, it's nice. Been on a oval, I feel. But we're underneath this glorious tent thing, so...
With the Bulldogs players viewing.
No, they're not viewing. They're not even looking at us. They're like, media. What are these radio nerds doing over here? Kick my footy a little bit more. I'm sorry. Sports and arts. We don't get along anyway.
Is there events? Because I saw that you're in London with this big, ginormous snuff puppet of a foot going on people.
Yeah, absolutely. So that is the human body parts. They are giant body parts. We've got hand, eye, foot, mouth, and they all have one person inside them, but they're all over maybe 2 meters long. And we did a little tour of the UK and Europe. We shot some footage in London, and that has got like 70 million views. Whoa. So it just took off like virally, that kind of thing. I know, right? That's what makes us cool. It's so lit. Cool. Am I saying that right?
Literature.
Thank you. No, that was actually really exciting. It just went off like mid-year. I was like, why are we making money from YouTube? This seems weird. I'm not sure that's what we're supposed to do.
Why are we in London making money from YouTube?
Yeah, I know, right? And that clip's been on there for like 2 years, but it was only this year it actually like went up.
Wow.
And then we got over 100,000 subscribers, so YouTube sent us an award. I know, it's this little silver plaque thing. I was like, cool.
Why didn't you bring it?
Hi.
I should have. I will. Just give me 5 minutes. I'm literally on the other side of the oval. I will run. I'm not saying I won't run. Why would I do that? I will walk back. No, it's been a bit of a wild ride. We're definitely, we've got over hundreds of millions of views of our stuff online, and I think that's just because they're really big and weird and scary, and they don't talk, so people from other countries can look at them, and they don't have to have some kind of language barrier. So yeah.
Hi, Sean here.
Hi, Sean. How you doing?
I'm good, thank you. So I was wondering, what's the most rewarding thing about being involved in the Snuff Puppets?
The YouTube views? No, definitely not that. Whatever. Doesn't help me sleep at night. Definitely working with communities, I think. So we do have a little project called the People's Puppet Project, which is when we are invited to be in a community. We do this in Australia, but we also do it in, we've been to Indonesia, we've been to Pakistan, we go to Japan, and we go and spend about 2 or 3 weeks with a community. We get their myths, their legends, all of that sort of stuff from them, and we build puppets that are large scale kind of replicas of those myths and legends, and we do a big parade through the streets of their tiny little town or something like that. And it just means that community really sort of feels really connected to the place where they are. They have a lot of fun building puppets, which is like a strangely therapeutic kind of thing, because you get taught, you're like, okay, so you put this over a thing and then you hot glue it down. Okay, you got it? Everyone got it? Do it for 2 days straight. Okay, is everyone having fun still? Are we? So it's kind of like a really meditative process that really brings people together. Plus, getting hot glue gun burns is definitely a sign of that you're doing it right. So I really enjoy that. It's always really rewarding to see people get inside puppets and bring them to life for their friends and family.
Yeah.
Piper here. I just wanted to ask, how do you actually make the puppets?
So we make them completely handmade as well.
Whoa.
That's definitely part of our philosophy and aesthetic, that they should be really handmade. So they are made with cane, which is a very bendy, thin, like wood that can really be manipulated and it doesn't break. We use bamboo, which is incredibly light but incredibly strong. We will take bamboo, we will create a frame that attaches to like a backpack. So we'll just go to Savers and get like a bunch of backpacks, like no joke, and like cut the pack out of the back, and then we like hot glue bamboo and wire it on, and then we have a cane, sort of like that's what creates the shape of the body, and then we cover it in canvas and paint and foam to make all the little features. Yeah.
And sorry, you go.
How long would it take to make a puppet?
How long is a piece of string? Depends how dedicated the person making the puppet is. The People's Puppet projects are kind of more community ones, maybe slightly more basic in their structure. Probably like, 3 people working on one puppet. You'd get it done within a couple of days.
Yeah.
Something a bit more complicated, like the human body parts, because they are a bit more elevated and they're sort of for shows and that kind of thing. They have got, I couldn't even measure it, hours and hours and hours of work. Our Scully puppets, which are like a one-person bodysuit, each bone, because it's like a skeleton, has been handcrafted, and there are 60 bones in each of those. So it's actually completely immeasurable.
So, like,
hundreds of hours.
I've seen the rhino before.
Yeah, the rhino. Yeah, Nick
Where's
Wilson,
that?
he made that.
So how long would that have taken to make?
That would have taken probably 2 weeks of your 9 to 5.
Jeez.
Not counting like the fact that someone like Nicholas, that puppet is based off the Albrecht Dürer painting as well. That's in the NGV. We were commissioned by the NGV to make a replica of that.
Yeah.
So it was not just about like what does the rhino look like. It was all that painting that sort of comes out of it, because the construction of it is basically the same, depending on if it's got 4 legs or 2 legs. Your basic puppet structure is just modified, but it comes down to all that detail and the artistry and the creativity of the person creating it. Yeah.
Do you guys sell any of your puppets?
No, we don't. No, we're using them. Well, we do sell them, as in we sell roaming experiences.
Yeah.
So happens heaps, like your council festival, or it's happened in like New Year's Eve for Footscray last year. Maribyrnong City Council just call us up and say, can we have some of your puppets, please? And we'll send a bunch of people down, in the puppets. They get in, they do roams, they interact with people.
Yeah.
We don't sell them because a puppet is not meant to just sit in a corner. It's meant to be experienced. So it has to have somebody inside it. And we want to keep paying people and paying artists to have work and make money out of it. So yes, we don't sell them, but we do make money off them. Thank you very much.
Going back to can they talk thing.
Yes.
Will you ever make puppets that can talk?
So I think because of the no talking thing, we occasionally do have puppets talk, but what happens is we usually have someone on a microphone that's talking through a speaker, and the person in the puppet will just move the puppet's mouth. So if you have a microphone sitting in the puppet, I mean, you can do that as well, but if you have, someone is supposed to be completely disguised in the puppet, so if you hear a human voice, it disrupts the magic and the illusion and the imagination of the puppet. So it's actually less effective to have them talk. You kind of just want them to sort of exist in their world. So when we go on roams, there's always somebody with the puppet, like looking after it, but we always are told to like melt our way in to the background, so people see like a giant rhino standing there, and they're like, Is that a rhino? Like, is anyone looking after that? Is is that for me?
Is that meant to be in the
Is
zoo?
it meant to be? Where is it going? And they get this weird like disruption, and then the rhino will charge at them because it's a rhino, and they're like, "What do I do?" And then it bumps into them, and you realize this is made of foam, and it's just a puppet, and they go, "Oh, why was I scared?"
Do the snuff puppets hurt?
Do they hurt?
Like when they run into you?
No, not at all. They actually have they look like they're going to, but they actually don't. They're very soft.
Grania here. I was just wondering how you got involved with the Snuff Puppets.
I applied for a job and they gave it to me. Can you believe it?
But like,
I can't
why did you get interested in the Snuff Puppets?
I actually was originally, I went and saw this show, one of their shows called Snuff Club, which was like a cabaret style thing in Melbourne Fringe, like 7 years ago. And it ended with this giant inflatable grub, like just expanding and expanding in a small room. And it just kind of kept coming towards me. And it was a point where I went, oh, it's going to be in my face. That's going to touch me. And it did. And it sort of rolled gently over me. And I was overwhelmed with this huge, big, weird cloud thing and crashing music. And it just sort of like plopped over the audience and then went out into the corridor. And I was like, yes, please. More of that. Thank you very much.
I just wanted to ask why are they called the Snuff Puppets?
Yeah, that's a really fair point. I ask myself that all the time because sometimes it can be a bit tricky saying you using the word snuff, because I think when it was created in the 90s, it meant something a little bit different now. But I think snuff is about death. And these puppets are very
Deathly.
deathy. Yeah, they're very scary. They're not actually for children as much. We get calls from schools being like, "Can you bring the puppets down?" I'm like, I don't think the preppies are gonna like that. We get a little bit there, or we go on like a roam, and you'll have the adult that is scared, and the child, which is like runs up to like the rhino and is like, "Eat me! Eat me!" It's really funny.
Is it tiring to actually run the puppets?
Yeah, I'm not a puppeteer myself, so I'm the producer at the company. I book the gigs, I sort out the artists, I talk to people about Snuff Puppets and hopefully, get us like work. It is exhausting. I've seen people go into puppets, they come out dripping with sweat. We only have 30 minutes at a time that they can be in the puppet for. And for the human body parts, so the people in London, because those things are completely made out of foam, they're incredibly claustrophobic.
Yeah.
And really hot. So people come out dripping. Yeah, it's completely an all-body workout.
You're listening to the community show here with Lauren from
Snuff Puppets.
The Snuff
Hey,
Puppets.
what's going on? These are great questions, by the way. I'm having a good time.
I wanted to ask, what's the most rewarding thing about being in the Snuff Puppets?
Oh, I think for a puppeteer, for somebody that's performing, I think that there is an idea that you can go inside a puppet and no one knows who you are.
Yeah.
And that is very powerful because everybody can see you and they're watching you and reacting to you, but they don't know who's under there. And it means a lot of the time people are very quite risky. They'll do something cheeky, they'll do something fun, and they're kind of getting away with it.
Yeah.
And I think that definitely speaks to anybody that's a bit of an introvert and sort of wonders, what happens if I had magical powers where I could do something and not have any consequences. And I think for the artist, that and seeing reactions from people and people really digging what we're doing and just, absolutely falling in love with us. And that's what happened to me. I saw it, I completely fell in love with it. A few years later, I'm working here. So
a recent puppeteer died from Sesame Street, like the maker of Big Bird and
That's
Not
true.
Scratch. How do you feel
Carol
about
Spinner.
that? How do you feel about that?
I think that's really sad. But I also think there's Jim Henson is an absolute legacy person. Actually, our founder, Andy Freer, was telling us last night, the first TV that he got like a black and white TV that came on back of his truck and they plugged it in. He's 50, so this is, going back a fair bit. And the first thing that he watched on television was The Muppet Show. And it just kind of goes to show like inspiration comes and then you don't realize, but then a few years later, this is the sort of stuff that comes out of it. So yeah, it was definitely felt, puppeteering is a very small community in a lot of ways. Yeah. So yeah, we feel it every time we lose someone great.
What do you think is the most challenging thing about being involved in the Snuff Puppets?
At the moment, I have to say, and it's kind of a bit boring and a bit governmenty, but arts funding has taken a real sort of dive recently. I think we have a hostile government, to not to put too fine a point on it, to be able to give us sort of, the resources that we know will mean that we make a difference in people's lives. It's really unfortunate to see that not be funded properly. So that's a huge challenge. It's not just for us, any smaller companies that maybe have got niche, relationships or things that they do, to sort of have the guts kind of pulled out of you over and over again. It's very hard to run on the smell of an oily rag.
Yeah.
So, give us money. Well, we're a charity. It's tax deductible. You feel good about yourself. So,
you said earlier that you make the stuff associated with countries. Why did you decide to make the body parts for England, London?
We didn't make them for England, London. That was actually part of a roaming tour. Good question, though. So it's the difference between we make a puppet for a community. The puppets stay with the community. They use them forever. But when we have roaming, the acts that we're selling, it means that anyone can buy them. So that London video that you saw was part of a bigger tour where we went to Germany, and we went all the way around the UK, and I think we went to Germany, like Poland, a few other places.
Yeah, okay.
So we formed a big tour, and we actually got special funding as well from the Australian Council to be able to sort of keep our puppeteers on the road for longer. And yeah, that was kind of part of a bigger tour.
Why did you choose those puppets to go to the world?
I think they chose them, but they are part of Everybody, which is our most popular online show. So I think they figured there was going to be a little bit more interest from people. I think they're just cool. They're just really good puppets. Yeah, they're really bizarre. And I think because they're about body parts, people go, bleh, like it creates a much bigger reaction in someone. So yeah, they're a real centerpiece to our kind of visibility on like a global stage.
That brings our show to an end. Thanks, Lauren.
Oh, I was just getting going. What are you talking about? Didn't get to ask about you guys. How's school going? Feeling good?
Yeah,
Great. You're almost at the end of term, right?
Yeah.
Good. So you get to do this kind of stuff?
Yeah.
Is it a bit of a...
We've got 2 days left.
Is it a bludge? Is it...
It's okay.
I remain diplomatic and I say I'm having a very good educational experience here.
And you can come back next year.
Well, I say A+. You all get A+. Those
Thank
were
you.
amazing questions and I really enjoyed answering them. Thank you so
Thanks
much.
to the panel, Sean, Piper, Archie, and Gronya. This has been the Community Show on Footscray Live.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're listening to Footscray Live.